Thank you very much. Go ahead and proceed with your presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. This bill very simply is about local control and voter determination with regard to how elections are run in local communities. Currently, under state law, charter cities have the authority to choose between two options, which would be traditional two-round runoffs or ranked choice voting. General city laws do not have that option. This bill would give that authority to general law cities that charter cities currently have. I'm happy to debate the merits of ranked choice voting, but that's really not what this bill is about. So among charter cities, there are some like San Francisco and Oakland that have decided by a vote of the people to use instant runoff or ranked choice voting. There are other charter cities such as Los Angeles, San Diego, and San Jose which use traditional runoffs. But again, general law cities and districts don't even have this option. So the public policy question before the committee today is that should Sacramento determine for general law cities that they don't have this option, or should we give that authority to the voters of those general law cities as we already allow the voters of charter cities to decide for themselves? So it's really about local control and voter determination rather than having Sacramento tell those voters how they're going to vote. And I would ask for your aye vote. Just to conclude, there is no opposition to the bill, and good government groups such as Common Cause support it, as well as the California League of Cities.
Thank you. Those others speaking in support?
Vice Chair, members of the committee, Nicholas Heidorn with California Common Cause in strong support of SB 1288. While there's no perfect voting system, every voting system has its pros and cons. Many, if not most, election scientists would agree that the first-past-the-post voting system is the worst at accurately representing voter preferences. Unfortunately, this is precisely the voting system that we lock school districts and general law cities into using. On a first-past-the-post, the candidate with the most votes is elected even if they fall far short of receiving majority support. First-past-the-post, therefore, is particularly vulnerable and tends to break down whenever there are multiple candidates running in a race. This increases the likelihood of vote splitting and can enable someone to be elected by a small fragment of the electorate. Every year, candidates are elected mayor and to city councils and school boards in single-seat districts with as little as 20% of the vote, meaning that 80% of the electorate preferred someone else. What's worse, we know through the spoiler effect that under first-past-the-post, it can result that the candidate who is least liked by the electorate ends up getting elected. I want to stress that the vote-splitting problem is not simply an academic or theoretical concern. It happens all the time in California. Common Cause did a study of the past decade of local single-seat elections, and we found that when there are three or more candidates running for office, the only time that you can get vote-splitting, 40% of the time the candidate who is elected had less than majority support. SB 1288 provides a simple solution. It gives general law cities, school districts, and counties the option, if they want to adopt majority winner voting systems already in use in California charter cities, which can only use these systems because of their home rule powers. For cities and school districts, it allows them to use a traditional runoff, which is simply where, when no candidate receives a majority, the top two advance to a second election to determine the winner. Cities, school districts, and counties would also be allowed to use ranked choice voting for single-seat or multi-seat elections. RCV is very similar to the traditional runoff, except that because the voters rank the candidates in advance, we already know who they would have voted for in the runoff, so you don't have to have that second election. The advantages of RCV are that it saves the jurisdiction as well as candidates the cost of a second election, and of course reduces the likelihood of a severe drop-off in voter turnout. But really, most importantly, as the Senator mentioned, SB 1288 does not require any jurisdiction to change its voting system. It simply gives them options to use majority winner systems, and any change has to be accomplished by a vote of the city's electorate. 1288 merely gives locals the option to use a more representative majority winner system if they so choose. We think this bill strikes the right balance in favor of democracy and local empowerment and would urge the committee's support.
Others wishing to speak in favor?
Vice Chair and members, Paula Lee, Vice President of Californians for Electoral Reform. We mostly focus on improving representation for voters, and I'll be speaking to this bill. We are the co-sponsors, and I'll be repeating some of the same themes that you already heard. This is why we're in support. General law cities now must use plurality voting. Plurality voting means the person with the most votes wins. but sometimes that is not the majority winner. In most cases, it's not. Sometimes a 25% winner can emerge, and that means for 75% or more, as Nicholas outlined, of voters voted for someone else. This produces no voter satisfaction and no governing mandate. So 1288 simply gives local government the option to choose better election systems that can produce a majority winner if they want to. Those two systems, as you heard, ranked choice voting and the traditional two-round runoff. And charter cities already have this option. We think that general law cities deserve the freedom to choose an election system if voter approved, at least the freedom to put it on the ballot as a choice for voters. In addition to the co-sponsors, Californians for Electoral Reform and Common Cause, the list of supporters that you see on this bill are good government groups, League of Women Voters of California, Asian Americans Advancing Justice, and many other organizations that represent voters. And you also see on the list of support the League of California Cities, representing cities. So voters and cities want this option, and we hope you'll support 1288. Because it's a permissive bill, it mandates nothing. Thank you.
Others wishing to speak in support?
Thank you, Vice Chair and members. My name is David Carey. I'm also with Californians for Electoral Reform. I don't have a statement, but I'm available to help answer any questions the committee might have.
Excellent. Those wishing to add on, just your name, organization, and position on the bill.
Great. Andrew Medina of Asian Americans Advancing Justice California in support of the bill.
Trudy Schaefer, representing the League of Women Voters of California, in support of the bill.
Emily Rush, representing CalPIRG, in support of the bill.
Thank you very much. Looks like we have one more.
My name's Jim Soper. I'm the author of Counted@Cast.org. Speaking personally, I support this bill.
Thank you. Madam Chair?
Yes, thank you. There any opposition to the bill? No opposition?
No opposition. I'm so sorry.
Wow, I'm sorry. Oh, we were looking for the excitement.
We tried, but we failed.
We tried. Any questions from the members? Yes, Mr. Harper.
So one of the biggest questions I have in regards to this bill is that, of course, any city can adopt this by becoming a charter city. My own county became a charter county for the purposes of elections and elections only. Orange County, of course, being of kind of a different philosophical or political nature than much of the rest of the state of California. When we had a vacancy in the County Board of Supervisors, maybe due to someone winning election of legislature or for other reasons, decided that instead of the governor appointing to a vacancy on the County Board of Supervisors, instead the voters, the people, should be able to decide during a special election who should be able to serve in that seat. And so to this day, that's the only provision in the county's charter. And so the question that I have is, why isn't just simply being able to adopt these reforms by charter enough?
I'll give it a shot, and then I'll have my counsel weigh in as well. That would be one way, but I would only return the question, why should we treat charters different from general law cities? And why should we deny them without having to go through the trouble of becoming a charter city or district or county? The freedom, the liberty, and allow voters the right to choose their own system of how they elect make their electoral decisions.
That's the point of a charter, is to be able to have a local city or jurisdiction be able to make rules that are significantly different than the rest of the state of California. I will, however, note I am concerned about the genuineness of the state legislature in terms of allowing for charter cities to, in fact, be able to have their determinations, because it was only just in the last session, or just in the last year, where the state legislature took away the ability of prevailing wage, requiring prevailing wage in charter cities. So these making it the same kind of, I guess, would make it pointless to be a charter versus being a general law city. if we're going to mandate they all be the same.
Any other questions? Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As I see this is very clear. I think there's two issues here. One is, do we allow general law cities and counties to do ranked choice voting? And that brings up the first issue, which my colleague from Huntington Beach just mentioned, which is, look, if a city or a county wants to do this now, they can. All they have to do is go become a charter, and they can do whatever they so choose. I'm in favor of that. I really like the concept of, a locality deciding for themselves what's right for themselves. I'm a big fan of that, and I like the fact there's a mechanism for them to do it. Personally, though, I have a real problem with ranked choice voting. I think ranked choice voting produces bizarre and confusing results. I absolutely disagree with the experts that this is what the majority of the population wants. As a matter of fact, I'd like to note that back in 2009, there's actually not that many places that do ranked choice voting. We have 4 of our 121 charter cities in California doing it. That would be San Francisco, Oakland, Berkeley, and San Leandro. And across the country, this story comes back, it's 7 years ago, but I thought it was pretty interesting. In 2009, because it's representative of the bizarre results that ranked choice voting can give us, in 2009, there's a mayoral election, Burlington, Vermont, where there was a candidate who won a plurality in the first round. He got 32.9%, but he lost to the runner-up in an instant runoff because the person in the runner-up had gotten more of the second and third choice votes. So this concept of first past the post being flawed is kind of strange because we don't run our races that way. We all run to be the very first, as we always have since we were young kids on the playground. So the concept is that the voters in Burlington were equally confused by this result, and as a result, within the next year, they repealed their ranked choice voting system. So I think this bill is actually about ranked choice voting. It's not really about the distinction between charter cities and general law cities. And personally, I would never choose, for this reason, I think college football is a whole mess because nobody can figure out their system either. Ranked choice voter systems have things like transfer surplus values and complex formulas that voters simply don't understand. And so I am not a fan of it at all. I think it gives a very undemocratic result that only results in confusion and voter disenfranchisement. That said, I think it's great that we have that as an option for our charter cities. So we have 121, as I said, charter cities in California. 4 have chosen to go this route, and to them I say, look, more power to you. If that's what you so choose, I think it's nuts. I think it gives us bizarre results. But if the voters in those localities so choose, that's their right by becoming a charter. I simply can't see the justification for us doing this for all, or even giving the option to all common law cities. I think that we have a great system, and I think that if the voters in any locality choose to disagree with that, they have a remedy that has been used by 4 cities in the Bay Area. So I do like the concept that we want to have people get the results they want, but I got to tell you, I think our system produces exactly that result.
Okay.
Chair?
Yes.
As much as I would love to take the bait and debate ranked choice voting, how it has saved my city and county millions of precious taxpayer dollars, gotten results in the same time, and provided greater voter participation, I'm not going to take the bait because this bill is just authorizing to give general law cities an equal choice to charter cities, and I would ask for your aye vote.
It's been moved as a second. I'll second it. Okay. I want to thank Mr. Leno for this. I'm recommending support with the amendments, and those amendments will be taken in appropriations because of the time frame. And as pointed out, this bill simply authorizes that they have the option that general law cities, general law counties, and education districts is specified to conduct local elections using ranked choice voting as specified. It does not demand that they do that, but it gives them the option and the choice of doing that. With that, we have a motion and a second, so roll call.
The motion is to pass and re-refer to committee and approves. Weber?
Aye.
Weber, aye. Harper?
No.
Harper, no. Travis Allen?
No.
Travis Allen, no. Gordon? Lowe? Lowe, aye. Mullen? Nazarian? We have ayes 2, noes 2.
Thank you. We need 2 more votes, and so we'll hold it open until the
Thank you,
other.
Madam Chair and committee members.
Thank you, Mr. Leno. Okay, our next presenter is Mr. Hernandez here. Has he responded?
Yeah, not yet.
Okay. Okay. We did, but if the others are here. Okay, we will lift the call on the bill Mr. Lowe missed so he can vote. Lifting the call.
Mr. Lowe, on item 2, SB 816, the motion is due pass and re-refer to Committee on Appropriations. The current vote is ayes 1, noes 2, with the chair not voting. Aye. Lowe, aye.
Okay.
Ayes 2, noes 2.
Okay, and do we have consent? Did he vote? Did you vote on consent? Did not get a chance to vote on consent?
Mr. Lowe, on consent the item is SB 927. The motion's due pass consent. Lowe,
Yes.
aye. Thank you.
Okay. We don't have either author here. We don't have Mr. Hernandez here. We were waiting for Mr. Allen and Hertzberg. We were going to hear that bill last, but if they arrive in the room prior to Allen and Hertzberg, prior to Mr. Hernandez, we will hear it, and he will just have to wait until we hear the other one. So he is somewhere in the building. He's been called. So we'll take a 2-minute break, 3-minute break to hopefully 5 of, and one of them will appear. Okay. Did you call Mr. Allen as well, please? Welcome, Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. So, does he have to be here?
You want his vote, don't you?
I mean,
That's not a good way to start, Mr. Hernandez. Given the number of people on this on the dais right now,
I just can't
all
help-
of us are very, very important.
I just can't help giving him a hard time.
All of us are very important.
We
Okay.
go way back. He's a
Okay.
longtime family friend. I love giving him a hard time.
Okay, so he has to recuse himself because he has a conflict of interest. I understand that. Yes. Okay.
All right, welcome. Thank you, Madam Chair and members. This bill will require that at least 10% of signatures submitted to qualify a measure for the statewide ballot are gathered by volunteer circulators. 100 years ago, the initiative system was established in California to empower the average citizen to engage in the political process. In recent years, though, this system has been hijacked by the very influence it sought to combat, muddying interests, corporations, and wealthy individuals pushing often narrow agendas. These measures often have little volunteer or grassroots support. Signatures are instead gathered by circulators being paid per signature. Numerous articles during this election cycle highlight that the price per signature are at unprecedented highs. This is, in essence, allows money and interest to have unfettered access to the ballot. While this does not prohibit paid circulators from being used, it does seek to clarify the measures have a widespread grassroots support. Additionally, it will create stronger penalties against fraud and misrepresentation for signature gatherers. And with that, members, I ask for an aye vote.
Thank you. Any witnesses in support? Yes.
Madam Chair, Michael Young on behalf of the California Labor Federation, one of the co-sponsors of the bill. Just to add to some of the comments that the author made, we know that the ballot initiative process is overwhelmingly popular for Californians. However, a growing number believe that, one, there are too many issues on the ballot, and they're even more believe that the issues on the ballot no longer represent their interests. They believe that corporate interests have sort of overwhelmed the system. We believe that by mandating a minimal threshold of 10% of those signatures gathered to be collected by volunteers, that we're giving the initiative process back to the public for its intended purpose. We're also increasing notice disclosure standards, and also, as the author mentioned, adding some fraud protections for voters. So for those reasons, we urge your aye vote.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. Megan Brightwell on behalf of the California Professional Firefighters, pleased to be co-sponsors of this measure. As the Senator mentioned, we are faced with a growing number of initiatives coming in November, which has led to some of the signature gatherers, getting $5, $6, $7 per signature. We think this is a modest approach to show that an issue has some sort, very small amount of grassroots support behind it before it makes it, before the voters get a chance to see it. We think it's a good measure, and we would respectfully ask for your aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other support? Yes.
James Schwab on behalf of Secretary of State Alex Padilla in support.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any other support? Any opposition to the bill? Okay, no opposition. Any comments from the members? Yes, Mr. Harper.
So one of the things in terms of noticing, it seems to look at paid signatures in a more pejorative way, and volunteer is somehow more clear, more or better. Tell me, in terms of the volunteer signatures, why the labor carve-out? Labor are ostensibly political organizations, especially public employee unions, whose purpose is to be able to influence government decisions. Why are they counted as volunteers and not paid signature gatherers when clearly they're paid to be able to be involved in politics?
So, I can have the sponsors answer that as well, but my understanding is when they go out to gather signatures or when they go out to volunteer in campaigns, they do it precisely that. They volunteer. They don't get paid to go out and do that work. So maybe I can have them follow up on that as well.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Harper, for the question. So it is, in our view, not a union carve-out. It is any nonprofit organization that has members or employees and are not paid primarily or exclusively for the purpose of collecting signatures. Then they can collect signatures that would meet the volunteer threshold. So any nonprofit organization that has members or employees would be able to meet that volunteer signature gather threshold.
So this bill prohibits unions, for union members or union leaders from being paid to collect signatures?
Right. If their only purpose is to collect signatures, if they are only being paid to collect signatures, then those count towards the paid signature gathering.
That wasn't my question. My question is under this bill, are union members or union leaders allowed to be paid to gather signatures?
Yes, they are not to gather signatures. They're allowed to be paid as a member of the organization if their duties are to run the organization and not collect signatures. The language in the bill says that they cannot be paid primarily and exclusively for the purposes of collecting signatures.
So they can be paid.
They are paid to run the organization and their other duties.
But they can be paid to be able to circulate the petition, correct?
They're paid to run the organization, not to collect signatures or solicit signatures. And that would hold true for any organization. So any animal rights organization or a taxpayers group or the Chamber of Commerce, any organization.
If Fred Smith, who works for the local Teamsters or any other union, is being paid for their job, being involved as a Teamster, are they still allowed to be additionally paid?
Oh. Additionally paid?
Correct.
No.
To be able to gather signatures.
No. They're not additionally paid to collect signatures.
Are they allowed to be under this bill?
Not to my knowledge.
If they are allowed to be, they would be counted among the paid signatures.
Correct.
Yes, they
and
would.
not among the 10%. They could not be counted as a volunteer. That's my understanding.
Correct.
That's correct.
So if they took on an additional job of collecting signatures, their numbers would be counted among the 90% that's allowable. I assume that was my reading of it.
That's correct. I'm sorry I wasn't being clear. That's correct.
Okay, fine. So technically they could be paid, but they're not counted as the 10% of the volunteers. They're not counted as a volunteer. They're counted as a paid.
So if you can,
yeah, go ahead.
You can clarify on that issue further. The other question that I have is in regards to this paper question of paper colors being different of volunteers versus non-volunteers. Is this ivory? Is this red? Is this brown? Is this green? Is this yellow? I'm not sure I understand the need or the requirement or how this would actually work. Why is white the preferred color rather than other colors? Why not have it be the other way around? Why this color coding system?
If you don't, it's also a great question. This is something that we've seen other states also try. The goal is to try and create a system where voters can right away distinguish between a petition that's circulated by a paid signature gatherer versus one that's being circulated by a volunteer. And we are also trying to be less prescriptive, and also for cost reasons, we just made the distinction that white would be the color for one, and then give the flexibility for any color could be for paid circulators. So
why wouldn't it be the other way around? Why not white for those that are gathered by the paid petition gatherers?
Well, again, I think it was our understanding that it would be easier for the voters to immediately distinguish one from the other, so they can recognize white as meaning volunteer and any color could be for circulators. I suppose you could do it the other way around, but from what we've seen, other states have tried this. I believe Oregon is one. That's the approach they've had, and they've had very good success going in that route. And that's just the direction we decided to go. But I suppose you could have gone the other way as well.
Okay. Any other question, Mr. Allen?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, this bill's offensive. With all due respect, Senator, this bill is offensive to the people of California. This quote-unquote carve-out to nonprofits and unions flies in the face of reason. And let me just explain what I'm talking about. The question came up a moment ago from my colleague from Huntington Beach about could union workers, whether they're officials or members of the union, could they be paid to gather signatures? And the question was being directly evaded. So let me go ahead and just to clarify, so we don't have to deal with any more evasion on this panel, I'm going to go straight to the analysis by the committee consultants. It says, in certain circumstances, signatures gathered by individuals who are paid for their time could count toward meeting the 10% requirement, provided that the person wasn't paid exclusively or primarily for the purpose of soliciting signatures. So what that means is it means that union officials and union workers can absolutely be paid to gather signatures as long as that's not their primary job function. Now, this is a carve-out that does not apply to for-profit entities doing this. This is a blatant attempt by unions to affect our signature gathering process in California. And with their level of political contributions in this state, this should be offensive to every voter in California. I'm actually shocked that this is being brought up, and it's being brought up in daylight, and people are actually proud of this. So I do have a question, because this really offends my sensibilities as not only a California citizen and a voter, but as an elected official representing the 13 cities that I represent, as well as the rest of California that I represent as being part of the Assembly. Would you consider, because let me tell you, on its face, having 10% of our signature gatherers just be volunteers, actually, I might not even have a problem with that. If there was no carve-outs for nonprofits or for-profits, we put everybody on the same piece of paper, so we're not trying to discriminate based on color, then maybe I might be able to go for something like this. So let me pose this as a question, in all fairness. Would you consider taking an amendment to this bill, completely stripping out any separate treatment for unions and nonprofits, whether it be paying their signature gatherers, which should not be allowed? If it's not going to be allowed for anyone, it shouldn't be allowed for their 10%. And then secondly, making sure there's no kind of color distinction, because I think we've moved past that in the state of California.
No.
Okay. Any other comments? Mr.
I do have a comment on my own time.
Okay.
So I appreciate your answer, and I absolutely appreciate your directness, because personally I like you very much. I just don't like this bill. So I appreciate your directness and your honesty. This bill is a blatant attempt. I not only am a no, but I really hope to see this bill go down in flames if it's not in this committee, on the floor at some point. This is electioneering in California, and it's blatant, it's partisan, and it will not serve the voters. As a matter of fact, it will hinder the voters' ability to use one of their very best tools, which is the initiative process, whereby ordinary Californians can put their names on a piece of paper and actually change the law, change the Constitution in California, which is, I have to tell you, it's one of the biggest freedoms that we enjoy in California as ordinary residents. So with that, it will be a no.
Okay, thank you. It's been moved. Second. Okay. You just want to register your opposition, because we've gone past that time frame. So you want to register your opposition?
Madam Chair, of course, and I just want to say, too, I agree with the substance of Mr. Allen's comments. David Wolf with Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association asked for a no vote.
Okay, thank you very much. Roll call.
The motion is due pass and re-refer to the Committee on Appropriations. Weber?
Aye.
Weber, aye. Harper?
No.
Harper, no. Travis Allen?
No.
Travis Allen, no. Gordon?
Aye.
Gordon, aye. Lowe? Lowe, aye. Mullen? Nazarian? We have ayes 3, noes 2.
Okay, we'll keep it open for those who will be coming back. Thank you very much, Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
That brings us then to our final bill, which is SB 450, Mr. Allen and Allen Hertzberg bill.